In this video, I'm going to show you how a small change in a rifle system can make a large difference in the rifle's performance. This device that I made can mathematically improve downrange group size by as much as 34% or more. We'll go through the math and also the real-world testing to see exactly what this thing can do. So, what did I build? This is a bipod extension. It takes whatever bipod you're using on your rifle and it pushes it forward towards the muzzle anywhere from 4.5 to 6.5 inches, at least for this bipod extension. In theory, this should make my rifle more stable. To start out the testing process, I wanted to make sure that the unit at least functioned. So I took it out to 100 yards to get the rifle zeroed.
Right. Here we go. First 5. Okay. Start on the second group on the left side there.
Off camera, I shot a 3-shot 0.309 inch group, followed by a 0.367 inch 5-shot group, and then after that a 0.708 inch 5-shot group. Not too bad. So once I knew the unit at least functioned properly, I decided to test it at long range with a 10-shot group.
There's one. Two. Three. Four. 5.
For our velocity, we had an extreme spread of 36 feet per second and an SD of 9.4. It was technically 11 shots that were on target. I sent my first shot off camera because I wanted to make sure my wind call got me on plate. I ended up with a nice round group measuring 5.25 inches. Before we get into long-range testing, here's the math I used to estimate the decrease in muzzle movement while using the bipod extension at 4.5 inches. First, take the total length of your rifle in inches. In my case, with my 6.5 Creedmoor, it's 48 inches. From this measurement, you will derive two numbers, the muzzle to bipod distance and the buttstock to bipod distance. Muzzle to bipod will be located in the numerator, and buttstock to bipod will be located in the denominator. You will then divide these two numbers to acquire a multiplier that can be used to calculate muzzle movement for a given amount of buttstock movement. So if we take our two bipod orientations and compare the muzzle movement for any given elevation change to our buttstock side, we ultimately end up with a 34.5% reduction in muzzle movement using the bipod extension at 4.5 inches. If we were using the full 6.5 inch extension, we would see a 44.9% reduction in muzzle movement. Now onto the testing footage. I decided that I wanted to compare how this rifle shot with the extension and without. So I waited until the coldest and windiest day of the year to start testing. The temperature was near zero, and the wind was switching anywhere between 6 and 7 o'clock at approximately 12 miles per hour. Here's the footage of my first group with the bipod extension on.
And we're on. 2. 3. 4. 5.
We had an extreme spread of 17 feet per second and a standard deviation of 6.8. However, my chronograph only picked up the last 4 shots of this group. We ended up with a vertical of 4.5 inches or 0.73 MOA and an overall group size of 9.5 inches.
All right, we're on. 3. 4.
Moving on to group number 2 with the extension. We had an extreme spread of 45 feet per second with a standard deviation of 14. The vertical dispersion of this group was even better at 3.25 inches or 0.52 MOA. The total group size, however, measured at 11.25 inches. Now here's the first group without the bipod extension.
Here we go. Three. 4.
we had an extreme spread of 21 with a standard deviation of 7.1. Our vertical group size measured in at 8 inches or 1.29 MOA with an overall group size of about 19 inches. This ended up being our worst performing group in terms of vertical dispersion. And here's the second group without the bipod extension. Our extreme spread was 45 and our standard deviation was 11.9. Our vertical group size was 5.5 inches or 0.89 MOA. Our overall group size was 9.25 inches. After all of this data was collected, I wanted to compare all of the vertical dispersion between our two bipod configurations. So I took the 3 groups that I shot with the bipod extension, and I took the 2 groups I shot without the bipod extension. Our 3 groups vertical with the extension measured 0.85, 0.73, and 0.52 MOA, giving us an average of 0.7 MOA, compared to our 2 groups vertical without the extension measuring 1.29 and 0.89 MOA with an average of 1.09 MOA. From 1.09 to 0.7 MOA is a 35.8% reduction in vertical group dispersion. Remember, at the start of this video, the math told us that a 4.5-inch bipod extension on my rifle would result in a 34.5% reduction in muzzle movement. This is so awesome, the math basically predicted this result. I understand that this is a very small sample size, but I would guess that if I continued repeating this test, my real-world results would continue to get closer and closer to that 34.5%. So, does this bipod extension really improve your shooting? Well, kind of. Towards the end of this process, I realized that this bipod extension doesn't necessarily improve your shooting per se, it just makes your mistakes less obvious. So what do you guys think of the bipod extension that I made? Do you guys use bipod extensions in your own long-range shooting? If you do, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one.